Odeyingbo, who got a 3-year, $48 million contract, is an ascending player in the sense that he put the pieces together over the past 2 seasons with the Colts and could have a larger net impact in a role that doesn't force him to split time. But he's an average DE2 playing opposite an average DE1 in Montez Sweat. Bears have won an award. A little bit of a dubious distinction here, I guess you'd say. The 1,000th annual Classic Overpay Award goes to the Chicago Bears in the signing of Dayo Odeyingbo. And he writes, this is being awarded for the big move that suddenly will become a small deal during the season. Ouch. Which happens a lot in free agency. The Bears had one big plan this offseason, fix the trenches. They traded for guards Jonah Jackson and Joe Thuney, gave Drew Dahlman one of the biggest contracts for a center, and signed Odeyingbo and Grady Jarrett along the D-line. Time to get bigger and better. This is an admirable approach, but tunnel vision is often a detriment in March. And that's what's happened here. Odeyingbo, who got a 3-year, $48 million contract, is an ascending player in the sense that he put the pieces together over the past 2 seasons with the Colts. He had 17 quarterback hits in both 23 and 24, and could have a larger net impact in a role that doesn't force him to split time. But he's an average DE2 playing opposite an average DE1 in Montez Sweat. The likelihood that he suddenly rises to a pass rushing level that warrants $16 million per year is pretty low. Of course, that's the bet teams have to make in free agency. On upside, on ascension in a new environment. It's why most free agent contracts don't work, but the Bears' focus on filling gaps along their lines led to a flurry of moves, and all of them could qualify here. Dahlman probably isn't worth the money either. Jarrett, at this stage of his career, probably isn't worth that money. The new look lines in Chicago are a March win for sure, but March wins evaporate by September when on-field play either validates or exposes off-season hype trains.
So the reason I was disheartened yesterday, 2 days ago when this thing was announced.
That's why.
Well, was that reason. It's like, why would you be paying him that kind of money?
What was the market like for him, I wonder? You know, who else was bidding for Odeyingbo? It sounds like there were some suitors.
If it was devoid. So here, if you look at what the rotation is going to be, it's going to be Hardy, right? It's going to be Booker. It's going to be Dayo.
Sweat.
I'll enunciate that. Sweat.
And then a draft pick.
Right? A draft choice, and then your 3 guys in the middle with Zach Pickens being out.
Zach Pickens is your man out.
Zach Pickens is your man out, and the guy that's versatile enough to go in and out will be that guy that's going to be in there in that rotation in the middle. Grady Jarrett, Billings.
Dexter.
And Dexter. That's your 3 in the middle.
I think that's your 8, barring
Pickens
a weird...
gone.
Barring an injury, barring something strange.
But you got your
8
youth.
You just said...
Yeah, you got your youth last year. You can bring
another draft pick
You
this
can
year.
bring some other guys to camp, and you can be surprised, and you can be thrilled, and you can be wooed, and you can be wowed. All of that stuff can happen to you. But Pickens is done. He was there. He was game day inactive.
He's definitely the odd man out right now.
If he doesn't all of a sudden sprout into something magical,
yes,
that bean needs to hit the ground, and it needs to turn into a giant stalk, and it needs to go up into the heavens and make him a much better football player than he was last year. That's where you're at with him.
Yes.
So there's your rotation. Can you get more? Might you get more? Here's a guy. Remember Gabe Wilkins used to play for the Green Bay Packers defensive end? Times looked like a world beater. At times just looked like an average defensive lineman. At some point he started. At some point he had put some consistent pressure. But he didn't do enough. Ultimately ended up getting gone. That's the way it works sometimes. When you're at the end position, and Mark Anderson was here with the Bears, had 12 sacks.
First year.
And the Bears were happy to move on. Why? Because he came in there and started to have to play on first down, and he couldn't make the transition from playing, just rushing the passer to being able to play all 3 downs. And when he had to play all 3 downs, it slowed him down. It ultimately slowed him down everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Not only couldn't he play the run well, but then he couldn't rush the quarterback. So he couldn't situationally in his brain say, it's 2nd and 7+, I'm going after the quarterback. All they had to do was run one draw on him, and then he slowed down to nothing, and then ultimately wasn't a tremendous football player. I don't think he ever replicated what he did his rookie year.
No, he really didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, he
never replicated what he did his rookie year. He went to New England after that.
He went to New England. No, you know what? He went to Houston first, then New England.
Then New England.
That was the other place he found success. 2011 with New England. It was his only other double-digit sack season. He did pop 10 that year.
Mm-hmm.
But, boy, he never really fired here in Chicago after that start.
Right.
You know,
looked like a world beater.
Yeah.
But when you ask him to do a little bit more, you're going to make more money. We're going to want to pay you. Can you do it all? And when the answer is no, then you scratch your head.
I don't mind a national writer either just giving us like a dose of cold water or slap in the face, like slow down. The Bears, the last 2 off seasons, have been clear winners. And that's gotten them a grand total of 12 wins in the last 2 seasons.
It's gotten you nothing. It's gotten you a kick in the nads.
It's gotten you a kick in the nads.
Come Christmas time, that's all you got.
They turned winning marches in April the last 2 years into 12 total wins. So I don't mind taking a bit slow down approach.
Yeah, a little reality check.
A little bit of a reality check. And maybe Odeyingbo does blossom. Nobody's saying that's impossible.
If he gives you 3 10-sack seasons, I'm jumping for joy.
You'll take it? Sure.
I'm jumping for joy.
Absolutely.
You
would take that in a heartbeat because
10.
You're not paying him $35 or $40 million a year. You're paying him, you're paying him about half of what some of the top end guys get. If he came out and gave you 32 sacks over the next 3 seasons, 28 sacks even over the next 3 seasons, yeah, I'd take it. And you'd say, okay, he kind of provided exactly what they were looking for. I don't know how it'll turn out. I don't have a crystal ball. None of us do. Most people don't know who Dayo Odeyingbo is.
We don't, but your defensive lineman, your defensive line kind of looks settled going into the year with these 2 signings. Veteran guys that have been around to come in. Because of the defensive end position, you had Booker and you had Hardy.
Honestly, I think we just gave you the 8. I'm not even right.
That's it. It's not even complicated.
With the draft pick added, they're going to draft an edge rusher.
I'm sure they will.
At least I hope.
Yeah. We hope and we pray.
We hope and we pray. But just like blind faith, like A's across the board, it's going to be a magical season.
Yeah.
Tough to keep doing that, man, when you get burned over and over and over again.
My mind's still at 7, unless the Ben Johnson effect. I got to see what he actually does. You got the head coach, you got the offensive philosophy. Now let's transfer it to the players and let's see the players perform. Until they perform, I don't believe a thing.
I got a couple questions for you about a few other pass rushers that they could have had. We'll talk about that coming up next.